Welcome to today's webinar. I'm just going to share some slides. So welcome to Start Your ICB Journey. Today we're joined by Amy Copeland, the Director of Communications for ICB. We're joined by Peter Stewart, Director of Learning. And also we're joined with one of our students, Deborah Sharpe, who we're going to be talking to a little bit later on about her study experience so far. So yes, shortly we'll hand over to ICB. Then we'll have a chat about Training Links courses and study experience. Then we're going to have a chat with Deborah, and then after that, we'll hopefully take as many questions as you guys can ask. We'll get through as many of them as we possibly can. So Peter, how are you this morning?
I'm well, thank you. I'm well. Yeah, all ready to go.
Good, good. So do you want to share your slides? I'm going to stop sharing now.
Let me do just that. Hi everyone. Yes, as Steve has said, my name is Peter Stewart. I'm the Director of Learning at ICB, which means I look after the content of the syllabus. I look after what goes on in the exams, and we try to work closely with our training partners, such as Training Link, to make sure that everyone has the most information possible and the best information possible to be able to progress through their exams towards membership. So I wanted to go through, if I can, just a little bit about what it is that we're trying to achieve with the syllabus and how we assess it. And then there's a brief mention at the end about gaining fellowship, which is a step beyond the membership itself. We have a syllabus which describes what it means to be a bookkeeper. It's a very practical syllabus that's in there, and as I'll describe, there's a full circle that the syllabus goes through, in that when you are a member of ICB, you will be going out into the marketplace to provide services to hopefully lots and lots of clients who want you to keep books for them, perhaps to move on and do some tax computations or filing of financial statements, and so on. So there's a basic competence that the bookkeeper must have before ICB will say, yeah, you're one of us. You are you're carrying the MICB designation into the marketplace. It says that you are good at certain things. The things that you're good at, we describe in the syllabus, and we know you're good at them because we set exams which assess the competence that you have in them. So our exams, as I mentioned already, is a very sort of practical syllabus that is a can do. I can do this, and ICB knows you can do it because we've sent you assessments that say, can you do it? It's not, do you know about it? It's not, can you remember lists of facts, dates, figures, etc. It's in a scenario, are you able to demonstrate that you can provide that service to a client that the clients will be paying you for when you become an ICB member? So I've got a couple of things. Just I know that there's a mix of an audience that's online here. Maybe some who are considering why should I go to ICB when there are other finance and accounting qualifications around there. So really, what makes ICB unique, and I'll be honest, it's quite a crowded market with qualifications. First of all, the majority of our learners, our students and aspiring members, are are doing this as a career development, not self-study, but they're not sponsored through the qualification by an employer. So when we talk about our syllabus, or particularly when we think about the assessment, everything that we are assessing is, everything that you have to do is within the assessment. There's no parallel assumption that you're getting workplace training, you're getting supervision, and any gaps that there may be in a syllabus are being picked up through the workplace. The aim is primarily the UK market. A lot of other qualifications would have you learning about international financial reporting standards, which they're used by big companies in the UK and in many places around the world. But the majority of businesses in the UK, the vast majority, 97% I think of it, are small businesses, owner-managed businesses, partnerships, and the work that a lot of the bookkeepers are asked to do is for these small businesses. So we don't see much point in assessing people on international financial reporting standards when they'll be using UK financial reporting standards. I'll make the sub-bullet point there that says that our qualification gives you the fundamentals in bookkeeping, the fundamentals to be able to cope with other standards. You could move into international financial reporting standards because you have learned with us how to do the fundamentals. And then I suppose probably going back to the bit that you're not supported by an employer, you're not working in a supervised environment, the measure of competence relies 100% on what you demonstrate to us when you're in your exams. And for that reason, we try to make the exams as practical and as realistic and as close a simulation to the workplace as possible. So I already said, we're not asking you to memorize things and reproduce lists. We're not asking you to quote standards from the top of your head or to quote rules or regulations from the top of your head. Everything, a majority of the questions would be, here's a small business, here's a position they find themselves in, how does this affect the books of the business and eventually the accounts of the business? How should things be reported? We have an open book approach to exams for almost all of our exams. Again, that's because if you were working on a client's task, if you were asked to do something for a client, you would take whatever papers they give you and invoices, receipts or whatever, you take them back to your desk, and if needs be, you would do a quick search as to what should the treatment be of this transaction, or when should that tax be paid, and so forth and so on. So open book is a sensible thing because that's what you do in practice. And the other thing, if you are making comparisons, you're going to find that we have a passing standard, a pass mark, that for our exams, or for the most of our exams, we ask the candidate to score 85%, which sounds scary because many other exams set a standard of 50%, and they'll move the percentages around depending on various statistical factors. But if you think about it, if you were doing a job for a client, you'd have to get that job done correctly, 100%. Otherwise, you lose the client. And we need that confidence. Go back to my first slide. We need that confidence to say, yeah, we're happy for you to carry the ICB flag and say that you're a certified bookkeeper. So we need to know that you're very, very good. You've got good accuracy. in terms of being able to do these tasks. We don't set a 100% passing standard. That would be cruel, because we also recognize it is an exam situation. It's not 100% reflective of everything that goes on. There's pressures, there's time pressure, there's, you don't have the opportunity to ask a question about the question, which obviously if you were dealing with a client, you would be able to say, oh, can I just clarify that point that you said about this transaction? So yes, there's not a requirement to score 100%, but of course the high passing standard reflects the expectation that you will be going out with our qualification and doing important work that you need to do accurately. So, as I say, they're the sort of unique points, I would say, about ICB in comparison to other qualifications. Just to very quickly talk about the content of the qualification. We have 2 levels for the core qualification that eventually leads to membership. At level 2, it's a case of being able to record transactions accurately. So that's the correct figures, and it's the correct classifications of different transactions. There's quite a lot to that. You learn the fundamentals of, again, if you're only starting to look into this, you may have heard of double entry bookkeeping. It is the cornerstone of all accounting, and it's a very, very important discipline to have and to be able to get at your fingertips. We also recognize that, well, I'd be very surprised if it's less than 99% of bookkeepers, but there may be a few outliers, but they'll use some kind of software to record the transactions, whether that is a commercial bookkeeping software. You may have heard of Sage, you've heard of QuickBooks, you've heard of Xero perhaps, who have sort of tailored software for bookkeeping. That's what most people actually use in practice. Others will use some spreadsheet functions. And we want to be sure that you are comfortable and competent in doing that. So we have one module that sets a number of tasks. It's like a mini project, and it says, using whichever software you're most comfortable with, please report back on the result of these transactions. Now, if you complete level 2, you get the associate affiliation with ICB, AICB, associate of the Institute. It's just a designation that recognizes a certain level of competence. The natural progression is to move on, of course, to level 3, coming on from level 2. You may wonder why there's no level 1. This is to do with the qualifications framework rather than any indication that we can't count. So we do start at level 2, we move on to level 3, because that's what the level in the qualifications framework is. And then it's taking those transactions that you've classified and categorized and turning them into final accounts. So they tell the self-employed sole trader, or people who are in a business partnership, a not-for-profit organization. We get quite a lot of people doing bookkeeping for things like scout groups, sports clubs, charities, small local charities, and small, medium-sized limited companies. So that they want to know at the end of a year, what do we own? What do we owe? How much have we earned? How much have we spent? Do we have a profit to report, or what's happened to our cash? All right. So that's organizing the summaries of the transactions into commonly recognized financial statements. And then we have our one closed book exam, which is a broad test of competence across everything so far. And again, that it's set as a closed book, invigilated exam, and that just really sort of sets the professional standard that we want. It's got a lower passing standard than the 85% that I mentioned before. It's got a 70% passing standard. That's recognizing more well, obviously not being able to use open books, and not being able to kind of ask questions online or whatever that you might do. So that takes it up to the professional standard that leads to membership. And once that sequence of exams has been successfully completed, then that's when you can apply to become a member, and you can apply for practicing license, which Amy's going to speak about shortly, and the process that's involved in that. And that's when you can go out and say, I am a certified bookkeeper and I can do work for the local butcher, baker, or candlestick maker. Now, we also offer some other qualifications around that core of bookkeeping. The reason being that our members have come back to us saying, I've been asked by a client, can I do this? Can I do that? Can I do the other? And the core qualification is very focused on that preparation of annual reports, but the clients might want, if they have a small staff, they want to know about management of the payroll. So it's quite a popular qualification for our members to take, so that they can then manage the weekly or the monthly payroll. They've got sufficient knowledge. And again, I've not got slides saying this, but the standards that we set, the type of assessment that we set, it is all the same, practical, scenario-based, asking you to demonstrate that you can work within the rules and regulations and produce accurate payroll. Slightly more advanced, and again, these are all optional. They're there for the member whose client base is asking for additional services. Sorry, I've just noticed a bullet point there, which is well out of date. That's really not a good practice what you preach, is it? So many people of our members take the self-assessment tax return. So if you remember, we said you might be doing the accounts for a sole trader, an individual. Now, a natural progression, once you've done the annual return and looked at the accounts, it's say, well, how much tax do I have to pay now? So taking the SAT, self-assessment tax certificate, will allow you to go through, do the calculation, and let that sole trader or a partner in a partnership submit and complete the tax return. Small companies have to submit annual returns to Companies House. They have to be in a very specific format, which is covered in the financial statements certificate. And again, once they've done their annual return, and that's all been submitted, then there's a natural progression to a corporation tax liability. So that's our third certificate that we've got that's, again, very, very popular in there. The fourth one, so this is bad editing by me, management accounting has been replaced by a certificate we call Business Insight. Everything I've talked about so far is retrospective. It says you have made those transactions, you have bought those assets, you have had those expenses, you've had that income. Last year, your profit was, and at the 31st of December last year, this is what you owned and what you owed. But management accounting is a discipline that helps businesses understand what that means for the future. Are we heading in the right direction? Have we got plans? to manage our cash flow, to identify any hurdles that might be. Is there any need to make investments to maintain our profitability and to help our cash flow position? So when you're preparing the books of a business, you gain a unique insight into that business, and you can use that insight to help the butcher, baker, candlestick maker make decisions, make plans, and manage the business going forward based on everything that you've seen. And it leads to a better partnership between the bookkeeper and the business manager, being able to have that conversation. They know about butchering and baking and candlestick making. You're the one that understands what all those numbers mean and can help them decipher what is in all those financial statements. Now, the advanced certificates there can lead to an advanced membership or an enhanced membership of fellowship of the Institute. This is earned if you have any 3 of these advanced certificates, and if you have been an MICB member for at least 2 years. So I've mentioned 3 levels of designation. We have the associate at the end of level 2. We have membership at the end of level 3. These certificates are at level 4, and the successful completion of those leads to fellowship. Not having fellowship is not going to stop you from doing the work that you want to do. As I say, each of these certificates is to enhance the offering that you, as a practicing bookkeeper, can give to your clients. It enhances your employability, it enhances how you can market yourself as a business. I would hope it enhances the charge out rates that you can take, and it should enhance the number of hours that you can charge for as well. So everything that we've mentioned in here, it's all to do with what we can do as an institute to support you in building a career in bookkeeping. So that was my whistle-stop tour there of the syllabus. I've not seen any questions that have come in, but I can see there's a few things on the chat forum. So if there are questions about this that have popped up, then maybe I'll come back later in the agenda just to address what those questions are. So for the time being, I will then hand back to Stephen, if that's all right.
Okay, thank you very much for that, Peter. So is now a good time to talk about to ask Amy a question about the practice license, because I know we've got a number of students that have been asking us the question before they join the webinar. A little bit more about obtaining their practice license.
Yeah, once people get qualified, i.e. full member MICB, just maybe talk through the process from that point on. It's a question we get asked quite a lot.
Absolutely. Hi there, I'm Amy Copeland. I'm ICB Communications Director, and I've been working at ICB for a lovely long amount of time. So so we are fairly unique at ICB because we say as soon as you've taken our exams, so that's A1 up to M8, you can then apply for a practice license. So we don't require you to have worked as a bookkeeper before, or to have references or any sort of work experience like that, because we know that we've designed that qualification, as Peter says, to be fit for the job, and that once you've learned that, you'll be a very well-rounded bookkeeper. So once you've completed that and you're a member, you can straight away start your business. Now, we do like to give you as much support on this as possible, and we really think we are the home of the self-employed bookkeeper. So just to make it very clear, you can call yourself a bookkeeper. Anyone can call themselves a bookkeeper, just the same way as you could call yourself an accountant or a dentist, because those in themselves are not protected titles. But you would have to be fully qualified with ICB and a member to call yourself a certified bookkeeper. But you can work as a bookkeeper if you want to, whenever you like. It is simply that in order to run your own business as a bookkeeper, be that as a sole trader or running a partnership with somebody else, or if you want to set up a limited company, that then requires you to have a license. So that is actually a legal requirement to say that you are licensed by a supervisor under the money laundering regulations. So it's quite a big onus on the bookkeeper, in fact, to say that you are going to be taking steps to stop yourself and your practice being used to facilitate money laundering. And this is all about reducing that tax gap, making sure that the government can shut down businesses that are set up for nefarious reasons. And so what we do is provide you with lots of support when you run your practice in just looking out for those key signs that your client might have, multiple businesses, or might be doing something illicit, namely laundering money and other types of fraud. So even though you can set up your business straight away, we do give you quite a lot of support in all the things you need. So what you do, so actually Deborah's sort of just gone through this process. You upgrade your membership to become a member, and we can send you via email a pack with information about the key things that you need to think about. So it's not just anti-money laundering. It's also things like, are you going to incorporate your business? How do you name your business? When you need to register with HMRC, because even if you're going to be self-employed, you need to sign up for self-assessment. And some of those other key things you need to be thinking about. So as part of that, we've actually just started doing more webinars. Hopefully you're not completely fatigued yet this early in the year, but we're now running monthly webinars for people who want to start their own business. And in fact, last year, we helped 298 people set up a business. So we have 298 new practices as of last year, which is very exciting. So you're not alone. And we are the main supervisor for bookkeepers, but that's not to say that you couldn't go with somebody else. So you can opt to be supervised directly with HMRC. And there are other supervisors as well, namely ICAW, AAT, and ACCA. We all, in terms of the supervision, do a fairly similar thing, but ICB, of course, is focusing mostly on bookkeepers. So that's absolutely our specialism, and we've been doing that for over 25 years now. So in many ways, it's as simple as filling in a form, but there's lots of guidance that we give you to support you in that very big decision. And as a community of 3,500 people running their own bookkeeping business, we've got lots of other bookkeepers to support you on that journey as well. So I don't know if anybody wants me to go into more detail about any specific areas, but I'm certainly here to answer any questions.
I think that's, yeah, I think you've covered it there, Amy. That's great. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Absolutely. Right. So I think we're going to talk through the training link side of things now and really show what we've been doing for ICB for the last 16 years, is it?
Yeah, 16 years with the ICB.
16
now.
years.
Yeah.
Wow. So I'm just sharing my screen again. So who are Training Link? Well, we've been around for 25 years. It'll be 26 years in May.
May this year, yeah.
So in 1996. And we just focus on 3 subject areas. So there's a lot of different distance learning providers out there, and they have hundreds of different courses. But we just focus on the 3 areas: accounting, bookkeeping, and payroll. And because this is all we do, we think that the niche approach that we've got keeps us focused on creating like a laser-like focus on making sure the materials we put out there and the tutor support is the best it can possibly be. We think it's a concentrated focus that gives us a huge advantage, and that can be summed up in one word: control. Because we've got 100% control over all of our learning materials. There's no third-party content that's been bought in and just bundled in with the courses. Everything we put out there has been written by our own in-house team of academic writers and tutors. And I think the benefit of that is that if you were a training provider and you were buying in other people's materials, then it limits the scope that you've got to make improvements, And one thing that we are regularly doing, we're always constantly having discussions about how can we do more for students? What are the areas where students could potentially improve even further? And that means that, and also our books are print on demand, aren't they? We haven't got hundreds of thousands of copies printed out lying on shelves somewhere. So it means we can react, we can look at exam results, we can look at the student feedback we're getting when we have a chat with tutors, and we can improve every single thing that we put out there. We don't, we're not having to tailor your learning experience to somebody else's learning materials. Everything is our own. So our books, our tests, and the additional resources work together to offer a seamless, cohesive learning experience. So our courses are designed to give you the best possible chances of gaining your qualification. And I think this is where there's some there's overlap in Peter's presentation. One of his points on one of his slides is that we have never approached the ethos of just about passing the exams. Everything we do is to make sure that you can do the job to the best of your ability. And that means that a lot of the time there's a lot of repetition, isn't there, about making sure you've got the practical skills. And there's a lot of repetition with the activities to make sure it's drilled into your head, the processes and the methods behind what you've got to do when you start your own bookkeeping practice. We're here to make sure you can do the job and be the best possible bookkeeper.
Yeah. As Peter mentioned there, that the exams and the style of questions within the exams are designed with practical aspects involved in it. Do you actually know how to do this?
Yeah.
So, it just kind of makes that a little bit of an easy decision for us to make, is that you make the training that way. It's not just about having the knowledge. We're giving you lots and lots of practical activities to complete so that you are familiar with actually how to do it, rather than it's just something I read in a book. So it all ties in seamlessly, really.
Absolutely. So in Trainlink, we've got a very proud history of helping many of our students become freelance bookkeepers or to kickstart their accounting career. Now, the success we've had, the student results we have, has been reflected in the number of award wins we've had. So we've had over 20 award wins, including ICB's Large Train Provider of the Year, get that point out, for the last 10 years in a row. ICB Tutor of the Year 3 times, but we've actually got more. We've actually got 6 in the building. Yeah. As Trainlink has grown, you put it out there that you're looking for some good tutors, and we're really privileged, really, that we have tutors who have actually won awards previously that have applied for those jobs. So it's great, that we're award winners, and we work with award winners as well. Our tutors are award winners. Yeah. So they may have won them when they were working at a different college or whatever, but they're working with us now. So that's brilliant for all of our students and us. Absolutely. And we've also won PQ Magazine's Online College of the Year in 2019. One of our students won Distance Learning Student of the Year in 2020. And at the last year's awards, it was one of our students won the top award, PQ of the Year. Yeah, Part Qualified of the Year. Yeah. So why study online? I think this is the key point, isn't it? Is that you are in charge. You dictate the pace of your own progression. So if you need to fast track your studies, you can. If you prefer to study just at weekends, that's fine. If you can't stick to the same schedule days, this works as well. It's completely flexible. Now, the flexibility means that, we see different students in different scenarios. You get some students that really have, they've got a lot of time, and they're in a hurry, and they want to really race through their studies and get qualified as quickly as they can. But you've got plenty of students out there that join us because, they need to take a bit longer, and they need to juggle busy work and family life. It's the flexibility of studying online that is the greatest strength. Although I would add that one important caveat is that you need to be committed to this. So a study plan is probably a good thing to produce.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it's one of those things that you want to be qualified now, not in 3 or 4 years' time. So we kind of break things down into saying, okay, we'll take, say, 200 hours of study to get through from the beginning to the end of level 3. If you want to do it in a year, then divide it by 52 weeks, and then you have the answer of how many hours a week you need to be studying. But if you consider that's just a year of your life or 6 months of your life, whichever way that you want to do this, just almost kind of build it into your lifestyle to say, look, this is a routine now. I'm not going to do this anymore, that every Wednesday or Tuesday or whatever it is, I'm going to focus and just do this. And believe it or not, you'll get there. And it's only a short space of time. Whereas if you tinker around with it and it's an hour here and a couple of hours there, you could end up being 3 or 4 years into it before you get there. So, you know, it is really down to the student to devise that plan and try to stick to it as best as possible. But the flexibility is there. So when life changes, as it often does, you can change your schedule. But I do think we do think it's important to try and stay focused on your target of at what point you want to be qualified and you want to be a self-employed bookkeeper.
Yeah. So your learning experience includes award-winning tutor support by email and phone, up-to-date, easy to follow bespoke printed workbooks for every unit, which goes back to what we were talking about earlier on. All of the material is our own. Practical hands-on activities to ensure that you've got both the knowledge and the skills, which again goes back to what we said earlier. This is about making sure that you are ready to do the job. And online enhanced learning resources. Now, the thing about our online learning experience is that we spent a lot of time researching the right virtual learning environment to use, because there's thousands of different platforms out there, and the vast majority of them are designed to cope with a lot of different qualifications, but mainly kind of like
Short
qualifications. They're not necessarily geared up to deliver complex finance-based qualifications. So we found a fantastic platform called Rogo, which the ICB actually used to deliver their exams, and it works fantastically well. It is designed from the ground up to deal with complicated financial and accounting based questions. And because the ICB use that for their exams as well, it means that by the time you've been studying your course and by the time you get to the point you're taking an exam, you've already been using Rogo for a very long time. You know, all of your studies are through the Rogo system, not just a mock exam, which is what there's some providers out there that offer a very limited experience. We use Rogo throughout. And inside Rogo, you'll find PDFs of your course books, assignments, tests, mock exams, and also a suite of videos that we've been working on for the last 12 months. Here's a short trailer to show you the videos that we've been putting together, and we're very proud of them.
We are pleased to unveil our collection of videos, and more of them are being added to our online learning platform. Our team of writers and tutors have spent much of this year scripting, shooting and animating a suite of videos to further enhance our study material. So if you want some extra clarification of a topic or additional examples when working through your books, just log into our online learning system and watch Training Links tutors take you through it.
Thanks very much there for Lauren for appearing in the video. She's actually on chat, so if you've got any questions at all throughout the presentation, you can pop on chat and just ask Lauren questions about anything that we're covering today. But your learning experience also includes 24/7 assignment marking with instant results and personal tutor feedback, a student services department which is open 7 days a week, and everything you need is included. There are no add-ons needed. So there are no add-on reference material fees, there's no add-on resource fees, and the exams are included in the courses. And you've also got access to Student Street, which is our peer support group. And we looked at developing maybe some sort of app or some sort of student forum. But in the end, I think what worked much better is just to keep it simple, and it's a Facebook group. So when you enroll, we'll invite you into Student Street on Facebook, and that's where you can talk to students, you can talk to tutors, and there's over 2,500 members. In fact, actually, since these slides were done, I think we're at 2,700
Just over
members.
2,700, yeah.
So it's a very busy group. There's a lot of students in there, both current and former students as well. And you can, like I say, we can talk to tutors as well. And because it's on Facebook, there's no need to learn how to use a new app. So the course material, the access to Rogo, the videos, the assignments, the extra tests, and even peer support group, it all adds up to build a fantastic study experience, and that's reflected in the pass rates. So we had 1,539 ICB exams taken in 2021. We had 1,328 exam passes in 2021. And for the level 2 core syllabus, core bookkeeping syllabus, the pass rate for last year was 91%, which is a fantastic achievement.
Yeah.
And for the level 3 core syllabus, last year's pass rate was 88%. But we also go beyond just the core syllabus as well. We've got other qualifications as well, like level 3 payroll. We've got the suite of level 4 courses as well, like self-assessment tax, corporation tax, financial statements, and business insight course, the course that Peter mentioned earlier on. So our overall ICB pass rate for 2021 is actually 86%, which we're very proud of, but we want to keep nudging those numbers ever higher. And that's why every single month, when the results are circulated internally, there's a focus on that.
I think the key here is that it is 1,539 exams, not 5 or 10.
Yeah.
So when you look at an overall first-time pass rate of 86%, it's actually quite phenomenal, really, to get that amount of students, 1,439, to take 1,439 exams and to pass first time at that type of rate. Of course, level 3 is always going to be a little more difficult than level 2. So this is the case across every single qualification on the planet, that the higher the level, there's always going to be a slightly a few more people that may fail that on the first attempt. But the key to this is that we don't give up on you at this point anyway. Should you fail an exam, that's all right. We'll just carry on working with you, because our objective is to get you through to membership and to the goal that that you set out in the beginning. So, but having said that, I think you can safely say you stand a pretty good chance of doing it first time.
I don't think that's. I think the number of exams taken and the pass rate is a real reflection on the amount of work that tutors put in to get people through, to check in on them, make sure that the questions are answered promptly, because at the end of the day, it matters to the tutors.
Yeah,
they celebrate people's success. That if there's a student that needs a bit of extra help, they're always trying to figure out how can we help this student even further. And it goes back to the beginning of the presentation, where we talk about having this control, is that we want all of those numbers to say 100%. And we can attempt to do that because we have that control. So we can say, okay, where are our students lost some marks this time around? We can look at the material, we can look at the tests, the videos, the various examples, to try and improve on that. Because to us, a 1% fail is, that's end of the world to some of our tutors here. It's the doom and gloom on the first day of the month when we check the results. So that's what it's about. We can't just say, okay, we're buying all this stuff and it is what it is. We know that we can always improve on that. It matters. Yeah. So we had a chat within the last couple of years with some of our ICB students. We actually caught up with them at the ICB conference about 2 to 3 years ago. And here's just a very short video clip about from some of our students.
It was just brilliant. The tutor support was always first class.
I had access to a tutor and could get a response pretty quickly.
Questions were always answered really quickly, answered really fully to check understanding.
It was so fast. Sometimes I would finish an assignment on a Sunday, email it off, not expecting anything until at least, you know, late Monday. And sometimes even on that Sunday evening, they've got back to me already. I think and these guys just sit there waiting to mark assignments on the weekend.
I think the answer there to what Joe said is seemingly so, yes. But yeah, if you know, if you want to have a look, and we'd really encourage you to do your research with before you pick a training provider. But you know, we'd encourage you to look at the independent review sites out there, so FIFO and Trustpilot, things like that. But also to look at the detail of the reviews, because we don't ask anyone for reviews at the point of purchase, which a lot of companies do now. There's a lot of different companies out there in many different industries, and the standard practice now seems to be at the point that you've bought something, they immediately ask for a review about the purchase experience. And you know, we don't want to have FIFO and Trustpilot cluttered with comments that just say it arrived within 24 hours. Great. You know, we want people to talk about the experience they've had with studying with Training Link. So you'll find a lot of detailed reviews on both FIFO and on Trustpilot. So please take a look at that. And there's also 27 detailed case studies of former students, some of which you'll have seen in the video. So they're always worth having a read of, because you know, that you might find that there's quite a lot of our case studies which mirror your own circumstance and give you ideas about maybe what you'd like to do, you know, when you enroll and when you move beyond that. Yeah,
well, they're real life stories. You know, obviously it isn't everyone that wants to share their experience, and I fully understand that. But I think we must be running into well over 100 each year who achieve their goal of becoming a self-employed bookkeeper when they study with Training Link. Yeah. We need to find the numbers on that at some point, because I'd love to know, but we just know it's a lot.
Yeah. Okay, so we've also got a special offer, and I'll flash this up again at the end so you can make a note of the codes if you're interested in it. But the ICB self-employed package, which is the most popular package that we offer, and that includes the level 2 certificate in bookkeeping, level 3 certificate in bookkeeping, payroll management, and self-assessment tax returns. This also includes the ICB exam fees, in-house mock exams, and registration fees to the value of £885, all included with this package. Also includes a free Xero course and certification, and a Start Your Own Bookkeeping business course as well. If you were to buy them individually, that would toss up to £2,950. As a package, we would ordinarily offer that at £2,110. But if you use the webinar code, the exclusive webinar discount, that comes down to £1,960. So that's saving an extra £150 on the standard package price. And there's finance available as well, isn't there? Over up to 36?
Finance up to 3 years. Yeah.
Yep, up to 3 years.
A few months up to 3 years. Yeah.
So the webinar code for that is ICB 150. Or if you want to, you can save an extra £50 on the individual bookkeeping levels or the payroll course with the webinar code ICB 50. And the offer will expire on the 28th of January at 5 p.m. So you've got some time to do your research. So let's hear from our students. So we've actually got 2 of our students with us today. We've got Deborah Sharpe and Lynne Evans. Deborah?
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Good stuff, good stuff. And Lynne, how are you doing this morning?
Hello, I'm fine, thank you. I had a bit of trouble logging on, but I've made it. I'm here.
Yeah, I think we've had. It sounds like we've had a couple of difficulties with Zoom, but we'll put this up as a pre-record later on. So first question to you, Deborah. Actually, would you be able to explain a little bit about your background and how you got into bookkeeping?
Yeah. So most of my working life, I've worked in payroll. I'm a payroll manager at the moment, and I wanted something. I've always learned. I've always done some form of study for all my life. If it's been offered to me, I've taken it from work. And then I've gone on and done some study just off my own back. To work in payroll, you now need to have some kind of diploma in payroll anyway. So I've done a degree in payroll management. And it was time really, especially with the pandemic and everything, to actually start learning again. I got a bit bored, finished my last lot about 3 years ago, and thought I need to do something. And I'm thinking of the future and what I want to do. And I want to look to run my own business. I'm in payroll, I like figures, and to me, the thing that would work the best with that would be bookkeeping. So that's why I chose bookkeeping. I think payroll and bookkeeping goes hand in hand. I'm always asked by friends or family with their own self-employed businesses, would I look at their books anyway? They always presume that you know all about these things if you do payroll, which I don't. So it was something that it interests me, and yeah, so I wanted to go in that direction really.
Oh, okay. So same question to Lynne then, really. So Lynne, can you explain a little bit about your background and what got you started with bookkeeping?
Well, I've always worked in accounts virtually since the day I left school. I was a trainee bookkeeper, and then in 1990 I did my AAT exams, and then from then on for 30 years I've been working as an assistant accountant in Birmingham. Early 2020 the company closed down, so which unfortunately happened around about the time of the pandemic. So I'm sort of thinking, what am I going to do now? I got involved with a local training provider that helps people into self-employment, and all these people need somebody to do their books, and I've had a lot of queries, people asking me, can you help me out? So I needed to get a license. So that was when I started thinking about ICB and all their courses, self-employment package. So that's what I've been doing. I've passed level 3 now, and I'm just on self-assessment tax. So hopefully soon I'll be up and running.
Fantastic stuff. So what do you enjoy about bookkeeping or accounting and bookkeeping as a profession?
I think because it's something I've always done and I've been involved in it for such a long time, I just enjoy numbers and figures, and you can get really lost into it, and you concentrate on it, and I just love numbers, really.
Would that be a similar answer for you as well, Deborah?
Exactly the same, really. I mean, I love payroll. That's my overall love of career, but bookkeeping was a natural fit with payroll, and I'm absolutely loving every second of what I'm learning with bookkeeping. So yeah, it just makes things slot into place a lot quicker. And I work within the finance department at the moment where I am, and so when I'm doing my journals, I'm understanding why I'm doing them now and which way round the debits and credits go, which has been a massive help within my job at the moment as well.
Fantastic stuff. So how do you come across Training Link? Do you prefer to study online? I think you did, didn't you? I think you're somebody who really likes to study online.
Yeah, so I've done both. I've done over the last few years classroom learning, studying, and distance or online learning. And to me, every time it would be online. It's just easy. It's easier for my own pace, in my own time, in my own environment. If I haven't got time to do it, I haven't got to get up and go out and I'm doing it. Or if I'm not in the right headspace, I haven't got to be there doing it. I can do it in my time. It's the way to go. And the fact with Training Link and ICB, everything's online, all the exams, that was a bonus to me. So yeah.
What about you, Lynne? Do you find that studying online was a good experience for you?
Yes, it's much easier. You can do it when you're in the right frame of mind. You can do it with the classroom and textbooks, as I've learned in the past. It just doesn't work. It didn't work for me. You've got all the online resources as well on there on the Rogo, so you can go through that when you like. It's just the flexibility of it. You can do it in the morning, you can do it in the middle of the night, whenever. It's a lot easier, and it saves time traveling as well, different places to college. It's all there for you whenever you're ready. It's perfect. It is for me.
Okay, so I'm just, have you got any kind of tips for people who are looking to study online about, maybe how they, is a study plan something that's worthwhile doing? Have you got any tips, just things that work for you?
Well, what I've been doing, the printed materials that you send are perfect because you can turn your mobile off, you can turn your computer off, you can go away with your book and read it. I did a lot of my studying in the bench in the garden when I was doing it because I was away from everybody. But what I do as soon as I've read through and I've understood what I'm doing and what it says, I'll put up a Word document and type all the notes.
Yeah.
Because you're typing rather than writing, you're concentrating on what you're doing. You read it over and over again to make sure it makes sense. And then I save the file. And then if I've got 5-10 minutes spare at any time of the day, you can pull it up on your mobile and just have a quick read of what you've done. And it keeps it in there. It's perfect just before your exams as well. Anywhere you want on the bus or anything.
Yeah, I think we spoke about this. We actually spoke about this, didn't we, last week? So, we love developing extra materials to put into Rogo, and the online platform is, it's really great, but there's something about having a proper printed workbook, isn't there? That
Yes.
I think it helps. I still think it helps with knowledge retention, reading from a printed page and having something physical. And I think there's,
it prepares you. It's like Christmas when that comes through the post and you've got them. It's exciting. It gets you in the right frame of mind. It prepares you for what you're just about to do. I love receiving the hard copies, but I also love the fact that the extra resources are on Rogo, and that just the repetitiveness of what you're learning with them extra resources really prepares you for the exams.
Okay. So have you got any study tips for anyone out there that's?
Mine really is just to make sure you are in a, you do it. Definitely a study plan is a good idea. I'm not great with study plans. I do have a plan of a day. So every day I have a plan, I write it out the night before. I have to do that with my job anyway. And bookkeeping is always in there on the days that I know I've got a little bit of time. But my main tip would be just to pick a suitable time for yourselves in a room away from everyone else without distraction. And do what you can when you can. And I've completed mine, and I did see a question come up just now. So I completed level 2 and level 3 with just under 12 months. So and you get a lot longer than that. So yeah, I think
if we lost Deborah, I think we might have done. I think we have. So hopefully the internet access will improve for Deborah, you're back. We lost you for a second there. Okay, so what are you intending on doing what are your plans for the future?
So mine would be, can you hear me? Is it all right?
Yeah, we can hear you fine now.
So mine is actually to apply for my practice license, which I'm just about to do. Set up my own bookkeeping business, organize some kind of website and try and get clients. And I'm still going to work in my position that I do now full time, but I want to move it into for when I start to think about retiring, and just to have that bit of extra money and that I can control how many clients I have.
Yeah.
Hopefully I get clients. No, I will, I'm sure. So that's my plan really.
Yeah. Oh, fantastic stuff. And what about you, Lynne? What's your plan for the future?
Well, I'm helping to help these people set up their own businesses. I've had a couple of queries yesterday, actually. Can you help me? Give me a couple of months and I'll be able to. So that's what I'm planning to do.
Fantastic stuff.
So I'm doing the self-assessment now, helping to the business insights afterwards. But that's the plan. Hopefully it will work.
Brilliant stuff.
I think this is the key to it, that once you've got the knowledge, the skills, the qualifications, you can use it in so many different ways. And some people like to specialize in a certain industry. I like to I don't know, we like to deal with retailers or the motor industry or whatever, and just channel it all that way, because at the end of the day, what you have to do is the same for every single industry, isn't it?
That's
You've
right.
still got to do, you've got to record these numbers, you've got to do the bookkeeping, you've got to balance it. And it's the same everywhere, but
Yes.
it can't, you know, so it opens up so many different doors, doesn't it? You know, and opportunities that it applies to every single self-employed person, that they have to do this.
I've had a cafe, somebody wanted to open up their own cafe, a builder, a sign writing business. There's all sorts of things coming in. Yeah, just give me a couple of months and I might be able to help you out. So yeah,
I think we'll end up having a catch up in a few months' time to see how we're doing. I think.
Yeah, I think so.
Fantastic stuff. Okay, so shall we have another look at the special, because I think we're actually running over.
Oh.
Would you believe? So yeah, if I'm just going to share my screen again. Here we go. So the ICB self-employed package. So level 2 bookkeeping, level 3, the level 3 payroll management, and the level 4 self-assessment tax returns. So yeah, you can save an extra £150 off with the webinar code ICB 150, or save an extra £50 on the individual bookkeeping levels with the webinar code ICB 50. So you've got until the 28th of January to use those codes. But I think that basically wraps things up, doesn't it? I think now.
Yeah. I'm just looking at that there. That's just £990 saved, isn't it? Overall.
On the package.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, that'll do.
Can we take it off?
I'm not going to tempt you on that one.
I've done a holiday for 2.5 years. Can we take it off?
Okay, so I'd just like to say thank you to everybody who's joined us today. Thank you very much, Amy. Oh,
that is a total pleasure. Just to say, we are also, like I say, running all sorts of welcome webinars and practice dedicated webinars at ICB. So I'll let Training Link know, and I'm sure they'll send you some invitations if you guys are available.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Peter.
No problem at all. It's a pleasure.
And thank you very much, Deborah.
No, you're more than welcome. Thank you.
And thank you very much, Lynne. Much appreciated. Thank you for your time today.
Yeah, stay in touch.
Absolutely.